I've had CFOs tell me, hey, never heard a marketing person talk like that. But when you think like a business person and you think about future financial results, you have to create a wonderful customer experience. You have to narrow down and you have to pick the right prospects and customers that you're going to be able to close and will stay with you over time, and you can grow over time.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, we're doing this, guys. We're doing this. I'm excited. I hit the button and I get to launch onto this adventure of a conversation. I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. He's a badass. Let me tell you about him. Marketing leader, thought leader, executive advisor, mentor, coach, 11-time CMO, all kinds of companies, 7 times full-time, 4 interim, you name it, Serious Decisions, Forrester, all sorts of great places. Now he not only does that, but he's also a mentor and a coach. He's actually coached over 150 CMOs and marketing leaders to become indispensable. Founder and CEO of Demand Revenue LLC, Alan Gonsenhauser. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Casey. Great to be here.
Man, you are a busy guy. I can't believe I snagged you for a moment like a shooting star. So I'm going to get into this. In order to ask you my question, I got to get out the giant Connect to Market blue finger and ask, Alan, what is the number one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market?
Connect to their market and their companies is don't just be a marketing leader, but be a business person and a general manager. Be a leader that may focus in marketing, but you're a general manager for your business. And don't just focus on performance marketing and demand. It's very important, but also focus on developing a remarkable brand, because that's your future pipeline. Brand, demand, focus on creating a remarkable customer experience, which means retention and upsell, cross-sell, because that's once you get beyond a certain point, you're no longer a startup. That's your future financial performance. And then also focus on sales productivity and customer success productivity, how you make them more productive, how you increase the deal size, shorten the sales cycle, and be a chief market officer versus a chief marketing officer. And what I mean by that is, be an expert on your market, what's going on with the market. And I guess the last thing I'll say, and maybe it's too much, but with this world we're in with AI, I'm starting a thought leadership series actually later today, talking about what AI is doing. AI is great at convergent thinking. It's great at summarizing what happened in the past very productively, and it's wonderful for that. What it's not great with is divergent thinking differently, questioning, look, if our business model, as successful as it is, went away tomorrow, what would we replace it with? That's the more innovative thinking. If you studied Clayton Christensen, sustaining innovations versus disruptive innovations, you need humans for thinking differently and disruptive innovations. AI is great will tell you how to be productive, but the risk is if everybody's using the same AI models, you'll be able to predict everything your competitors are going to be doing and do it faster, and vice versa. So you have to be careful. So just a little bit on AI, since it's such a hot topic.
Absolutely. Well, wealth of knowledge, I ask you for one thing and I get 30. So let's dive. These are great, man. This is like each one I feel like could be its own show. At the very beginning, you talked, and I know we're speaking to really this community is leaders in the marketing space. A lot of us, most of us in the SaaS world, but very much marketing leaders. And you said, be a leader and be a general manager for the business.
Yes.
Not just the CMO, not just a VP. What does it mean to actually be a GM for the business?
Speak the C-suite language. Learn the business terms and the finance terms that the CEO and CFO and board converse with. Translate marketing speak into business speak. For example, if you just talk about brand awareness, what's the impact to that? Well, number one, it's your future pipeline. Number two, you'll get more at-bats. You'll be involved in more deals. Number three, it'll improve your win-loss ratio. And number four, if you get real technical, brand equity is actually an asset on the balance sheet. If you're looking, in the private equity area, you're looking at others. So there's a way to translate what you know in marketing to a language that people will relate better with. That will result in you being more effective in your organizations. The one thing I didn't mention, probably forgot, is the most important thing, is you have to be aligned. You've got to get marketing, sales, product, customer success moving in the same direction. And there are ways to do that. But that's often an issue as companies grow and scale, that people are not moving in the same direction.
That alignment, it's funny you bring that up, because you and I were kind of chatting a little bit about connect to market, go to market. And, I think I was on I was the preteen warpath saying, down with everything, connect to market is everything. And you said, hold on a second, there is this differentiation. When I explained a little bit about connect to market, you said, but we still need that go to market for alignment. Could you talk more about that?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example, a data point. I spent, as you know, I spent 6 years with Serious Decisions. And in those 6 years, I mentored over 100 marketing executives and CMOs, helped a lot of marketing executives become CMOs also. And one of the co-founders of Serious Decisions, a guy by the name of John Neeson, at the beginning of Serious Decisions, did a study of 400 B2B organizations on different elements of alignment. And the result of that study, and it was done a while ago in 2014, but it's still as valuable today, I think, Casey. The result was companies that become aligned and stay aligned grow 19% faster and are 15% more profitable. And when you think about it, it's true, because a lot of companies, as they scale, have issues with, marketing and sales not being on the same page. Well, we give you all these leads, but you don't follow up on it. Well, your leads are shit. They're not, we can't close them. And
classic.
You've heard it a million times, all kinds of alignment issues. So product, you just talk about features and benefits. Customers don't care. They care about their pain point, So there are a lot of ways, with integrated campaigns, with a planning process, with a number of things to get the functions aligned. But that's really important. It's an area where a lot of organizations struggle and need to get better.
And would you say that is provided by the modern go-to-market movement, or?
They try to.
They try to.
Yeah, they try to. But go-to-market alignment is really critical. Yeah.
And as I was describing, connect to market, understanding your customers and reaching out and talking to them one-on-one, pods, communities, roundtables, partnerships, you're like, that's external. And that's that communicating outside the organization, and the go-to-market or these kind of conversations is that internal alignment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you say companies need both then, the external and the internal? Is it chicken before the egg? Do you just do them in parallel?
The internal makes the external more productive. It's kind of like, when you're trying to build your brand, you want to get as much reinforcement as possible. So one term I really liked a lot is something EPIC, every point of contact. If you make sure, once you articulate a strong brand position and what your meaningful point of difference is to your ideal customer profile in the space that you're in, you want to communicate those brand elements and differentiation consistently everywhere, in your brochures, in the way you answer the phone, and your website, and your collateral, and conversations salespeople are having, and customer success people are having, and the recordings on your phone. Every way that you touch the market, the more consistent you are, the more you're going to be leveraging your brand.
Do you have a good example of that? I think you're saying the meaning. What'd you call it? The meaningful.
Meaningful point of difference. That's your differentiation. So when you look at, I actually stole rebranding a number of times from B2C. And
Sure.
to net it out, when you position a brand, whether it's a company or yourself, there are really at least three important elements. One is, who's your target audience? Who do you want to influence? And that gets into your ideal customer profile. What are those companies that you can close easier and you can retain and grow? So who do you want to target? And importantly, who do you not want to target? You can't boil the ocean and target everybody. You have to narrow down and be remarkable to a smaller segment who will really get what you do and why you're different. So the first is your target audience and your ideal customer profile. The second is your frame of reference. What business are you in? And you can define that differently. And that also defines your competitive set. And the third is, what is your meaningful point of difference? How do you pass the so what test in a meaningful, compelling way that makes you different to your target audience for the business or frame of reference that you're in?
Right. It's not enough to say, hey, we make podcasts. Cool. So what?
Yeah. What kind of podcasts? Who are you targeting? Why are you different? There are a lot of podcasts out there. Why should they listen to yours? What makes it different? So yeah, some of them, it's just asking some logical questions, but they're important.
And knowing this versus not knowing this, I could see that being the difference between your just like bland. By the way, milk toast comes up all the time,
Sea of sameness. Yeah.
right? Like, I don't think anyone even eats milk toast anymore, but it is still the metaphor. Like, you are bland if you don't know these things.
Yeah. You want to be different.
You want to be different. And AI is not going to be telling you the things you need to do to be different in your thinking necessarily.
AI will help you become a lot more productive in your current convergent thinking.
Right.
It will not help you be divergent unless you prompt it to help you with that. So, for example, if you look at IKEA, they're selling furniture.
And meatballs.
Yeah.
And
the CEO was dyslexic and he couldn't remember all the product names. So he decided to call each of the products under an actual name of a person, Swedish person. And that created a lot of buzz and emotional connection with their products. And decided that they would have a model where their customers would build it themselves, which lowered their cost. But people like to do that. So it created a new market that didn't exist before and a lot of really loyal and emotional followers. That's an example of thinking different. It's also an example in this thought leadership series I'm starting today. It's also an example of having a problem that creates a new market. They needed to get their costs down and he couldn't remember product names.
And good luck trying to compare the table versus the, whatever the name is.
Yeah.
Insert Swedish name here.
Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned at the very top was the idea of being a chief market officer, not just primarily a marketing officer. What's the distinction there?
I think the distinction is getting the board to know that you're looking at the market, what's changing in the market, what are the headwinds, what are the tailwinds, what's going on with competitors, what's going on with market growth, what's going on with technology, what's going on with the products, what are all the things in the market, in the markets that you play with that are more or less attractive, and how do you productively and effectively prioritize the segments that you want to play in the market. That should be part of the role of the CMO. It's good for CMOs to have expanded roles. Like the CMO could be the chief customer officer, could be the convener in chief, but they should be the chief market officer. They should be the person that the board and the C-suite depends on to talk about what's going on in the market. Not just do marketing.
Right. It's almost the difference between tactical fiber execution and being a real strategic player in that seat.
Yeah. And when I work with CMOs and marketing leaders to help them become indispensable, a lot of it is moving from being tactically focused to being strategic, and from being marketing focused to being business focused, and going from marketing speak to business speak. That's a lot of the work I do with my CMO and marketing leader clients that I mentor and coach and advise, and love doing it. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But challenging, because I can even envision situations where the CEO is asking you
Yes.
tactical questions about the marketing, getting
Yeah.
into the weeds with you. But I feel like it's a trap, right? It's a trap to just only answer in the tactical sense, like you're just, getting it done.
Well, when I work with companies, let's say I come on as an interim CMO,
Yeah, please.
I do it with larger companies that generally are private equity held. So they're over 150, 200 million into the billions, and they have an internal staff. So for the tactics and getting stuff done, I'll depend on, leading the internal staff, but I'll also bring in other vendors if there are holes in execution or rebuilding the demand process of the MarTech stack, or specialized things that you want to have internal people, or helping with value proposition. I'll bring in other vendors. But yeah, I'm what I tell clients if they're looking for an interim CMO is there are three things I can help with: leadership, strategy, and my network.
Strategy and the network.
Yeah, I'm not gonna build a website for them. I'm not gonna do a press release for them. But they're, if they have internal staff, or I can bring on vendors because I have a very wide network that can help with any of those and many other things.
And having a trusted network of vendors can just save you so much time that not having to shop around
Yes.
and get it wrong. Inevitably, when you pick the wrong vendor once or twice, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that would reflect on my brand if I bring the wrong vendor in.
It would. It really would.
Yeah.
And even if you know that, hey, sometimes these vendors are not going to be good and they're going to do a really good job selling you up front. If you can come in as a seasoned pro with your crew, your trusted vendors that come in with you each time. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it saves you time. It also saves you face having to hire the wrong group.
Exactly.
How do you start to get everyone thinking about you differently if you have the CEO, other board members just asking you tactical questions, or they're focused on you. They just kind of see you as being tactical in the marketing space as a marketing leader.
Well, I make it clear that, if that's what they want and they want someone to build a website, or that I'm not the right person for them. I get into a lot of the business issues. So if I come on as an interim CMO, I join the C-suite, I report to the CEO, and I work very closely with the executive leadership team. One of the areas I've spoken a lot with CFOs about is, and I try to dig into very early, is to see if they have a churn issue with clients. If they have a churn issue, that can kill their new business efforts. So, try to understand what the causes of churn are, which are controllable, what we can do about it. And I've had CFOs tell me, hey, never heard a marketing person talk like that. But when you think like a business person and you think about future financial results, I mean, it's, you have to create a wonderful customer experience. You have to narrow down, and you have to pick the right prospects and customers that you're going to be able to close and will stay with you over time, and you can grow over time. I've seen situations where companies had segments, let's say low volume customers, where their product really wasn't appropriate. And so the experience wasn't good. The support wasn't good. And that created churn, and those customers should have churned off, but it's wasted effort. It's negative to the brand. So you want to avoid those types of situations and be really pointed on who an ideal customer would be, and then focus your organization in an aligned way to try to acquire and keep and grow those customers.
Here's a dumb question. How do you know you have a churn problem?
You look at your gross revenue retention and your net revenue retention.
But how much churn is too much churn? Isn't it like you're going to inevitably have somebody leave?
You'd like to have net revenue retention more than 100, well over 100, which means you're growing your business. Net contract value increase. And One issue could be your gross revenue retention, where you're not keeping customers. Another could be you're not growing customers. What I tell people, all churn isn't necessarily bad. If you've done a bad job targeting certain segments that you really can't support right, you probably want them to churn off. But what is bad is churn on customers that are the best ones for you, and you're well suited to support properly. So you've got to do the analysis on that, on kind of the ICP, but then also what the causes of churn are, who is churning, and how to prevent things that are controllable. You always have some, but that's something a lot of marketing organizations haven't looked at so much. They focused on new business acquisition and not, some of that's changing with customer marketing, but that's really important. Because I tell CFOs, look, your revenue and your profit is in the rear view mirror. It's how you did in the past. If you want to think about how you're going to do in the future, you better look at not only your new business acquisition, but your gross and net revenue retention and your lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. That's your future business and financial performance, assuming things stay the same. If markets change and your product becomes obsolete, you're a Kodak selling film, or you're what was the name of the video? We used to rent videos.
Blockbuster.
You're a Blockbuster surviving on fees and getting more and more efficient and saying no to acquiring Netflix
Twice.
until Netflix killed them because the model changed.
Yeah.
That's where I was talking about before, convergent versus divergent thinking.
And this is your sweet spot too. I know you've talked many times in different conferences and podcasts about make it, and you even said at the beginning, the remarkable customer experience. This is your future. This is your product.
Yes.
And so talk to me about your future and also, yeah, talk to me about that. Like, how do you invest in your future in that way?
Yeah. So it begins with the prospect development, how quickly you follow up, how, you're not dogging them, you're providing content that'll be useful to them, because only 5% of customers are in market now. So what you need to do is nurture them until they're ready to make an acquisition. And that's all in the prospect. So be professional there and, don't try to force them into meetings, but be helpful with content. Once they become a customer, onboarding is really important. What's the onboarding experience? And polling them periodically on their satisfaction with you and your functions, and would they recommend you to others, and asking them to answer why or why not, looking at those comments, categorizing them, and actually putting a cross-functional team to take actions based on what customers are telling you to improve or to make them into promoters, or if they're detractors, to find out why and see what things you can fix, and then communicate back that you listen to them. Those things are important. And also monitoring customer usage of your product. You mentioned earlier that you may not know until someone cancels that they're done. Well, if you would monitor your usage, you'd probably know before, and don't just try to renew them at the last minute, but find out how they're doing along the way, along the journey. A lot of it's common sense, but it's really powerful stuff. And so many companies aren't doing it well. The person who started Net Promoter Score 20 years ago is a guy by the name of Fred Reichheld. He's been at Bain for 40 years. And his latest book is called Winning on Purpose. See, it's a masterpiece. And what he says is only 5% of companies are getting it right. 95% pay lip service to customer satisfaction, but aren't really customer-centric, cultured organizations. And he's also come out with a new metric he's calling earned growth, which is combination of net revenue retention plus the new business you get from customer advocates and referrals.
I like that.
And that's very correlated with your future performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are very much like business metrics. These are customer metrics, to your earlier point.
Yeah.
These are not sole marketing metrics.
Yeah. It's not how many clicks you get on something.
Yeah. What were my impressions on that campaign yesterday?
Or impressions. Yeah. I mean, don't talk like that to the C-suite or the board, or their eyes are going to glaze over and you won't be invited next time. Translate that into something they understand.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I like to say you can't eat impressions for dinner,
Right.
It's not going to feed your family.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here, right? Do you encounter this when you're coaching CMOs, coaching heads of marketing, that there's just an overwhelming amount of things? A marketer, the purview is, if it's the whole remarkable customer experience, that's everything, and yeah, we got to do demand and brand and we all these things and customer retention and satisfaction, and you're just running the company at that point. So how do you prioritize things as a marketing leader?
It depends where you are, where the C-suite is, and the culture of the company. A lot of companies I run into, you have to really marketing, what marketing is today, because a lot of people have ideas from their past experience. They may think marketing is just sales support or just making things pretty or spending lots of money. And that's changed a lot in the past 20 and 30 years since we've had digital marketing and the internet and everything else. And marketing leaders tend to come from either a creative background, they work for agencies, or an analytical background. And these days, you really have to have both skills as a CMO or marketing leader. So I mentor and coach a lot of them to move from being just great tacticians to being strategic and integrating and aligning with the C-suite and the board.
That alignment, I can see that being real crucial.
And relationships, developing relationships. On my website, I have a whole series on the relationship between the CMO and other leaders like the CFO, the CSO, the CIO.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We will link to that in the show notes. Anyone that's interested in that.
See, it's demandrevenue.com. It's pretty easy, just how it sounds.
Beautiful. Alan, I feel like you know everything, but just in case you don't, where are you learning from? What are the different input sources you have?
I learn from my customers and people. I'm learning a lot from AI, experimenting a lot with AI, ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity, and using it for a lot of things. But mostly I learn from my customers, my clients. I'm in a couple of CMO networking groups, CMO coffee talk, CMO huddles, where you learn a lot from peers, and books. I read some books. There's some wonderful books out there. I mentioned one of them, Winning on Purpose, which I think every CEO, CMO, and CFO should read. There's another book I'd recommend if any of your listeners are interested in being successful in private equity environments, which could be, I work a lot with CMOs and PE portfolio companies. There's a book that an associate of mine just put out called The 5X CEO. And it's a research study, 2 years of private equity CEOs and CEOs in private equity portfolio companies and private equity firms and their managing director. They polled over 50 or 100 people and came out with a model on what separates the really successful CEOs in private equity portcos. And they averaged 6.2 multiple on invested capital, which is huge.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, there's some great books. I have a whole stack I haven't read yet, but I have a whole bunch. There's also a section on my website that's called books where I do a quick, maybe 1 minute video review of some of the books I've absorbed.
Really? Okay, that's fantastic. I mean, I love those kind of things because
Yeah.
then it helps you skip some of the lame books or just get right to the
Yeah.
point.
I've got more I've got to put on. I haven't done it lately, but
I just got that Winning by Design on Audible, so that one will be queued up for
mhm.
me.
Winning on purpose, you
Cool.
mean?
Oh, yep. Sorry, yeah, Winning on Purpose.
Yep.
Yep.
There's a group called Winning by Design. It's a whole
Oh, that's
group.
true.
So that's why it's called Winning on Purpose by Fred
Winning on
Reichelt.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred. Yep. There you go. Good old Audible. It'll be added to my. Oh yeah, I see Net Promoter Score. Yeah, underneath that. Yeah.
I've got to start doing audibles too. I'm old school. I've been, reading the paper books and my yellow highlight stuff. Old habit, I bet.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely love that too. But I also find sometimes if I'm like, well, I should probably be moving more, working out more,
Yeah.
and I should probably be reading more. I'm like, let me just combine them. But you're right. Yeah, sometimes you just need to get a good old yellow highlighter out. Get a good one. Invest in that. The
Yeah.
sound of it on the paper. I will say, not doing that at night because my wife's trying to read. And she's like, "What is that noise you're making of it?" Come on. But Alan, my next question for you really is like, who are you? Who are you? Like, take me back in time, little Alan days. Did you know you're going to be a marketing leader, multiple CMO, coach to the stars, that kind of thing? What was it like growing up?
Well, I'm in Massachusetts. I've been here for 30 years, two daughters. Um, Early on, so I'm from Rochester, New York, which is Western New York State originally, which is
Wow.
across the lake from Canada, from Toronto. So I always liked technology and I always loved international global culture. So
Mm.
from the age of 10, I was a ham radio operator, amateur radio operator.
Yeah.
And I've actually spoken with every single country in the world and many islands no one's ever heard of because it takes an icebreaker to get there. So that's something a little quirky about me. But I've traveled also
In every country, though? So
every country, every single
even the
country,
little weird ones and
all of them, every one.
yeah. Wow.
And some a bunch of islands, only penguins live on, and it takes an icebreaker to get to.
195 countries,
Well,
apparently.
actually more than 400, but it depends what you count as countries. So, um,
Oh, good point.
yeah,
That's turns into a political show at that point.
yeah. So I've always been interested in international geography. I've traveled and met some of the folks that I've spoken with. Spoken to some interesting people like King Hussein of Jordan died, but he was the first, peace broker in the Middle East. And when I was 14, I think he came to have talks with Nixon and stayed at the Blair House. First time I went on a plane, and met him with about 9 other people. And he wanted to meet me because I was the youngest person he had spoken with. I used to talk to him, um, on the radio,
On the ham radio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
All the way in what? All the way across the oceans and the seas and
You transmit and it bounces off the ionosphere,
okay.
that layer above, without getting too technical. But anyway, that's something I had an interest in, still have an interest in it. I had all these antennas and towers, and now I do it on the internet because we've moved a couple times.
Sure.
But I still have some friends from it. So always been into technology, into music. Um, and I started off in finance. So I got my master's in finance,
Wow.
started in finance, and then got into market research and marketing, product marketing, channel marketing, segment marketing. Then I went in sales for a while.
Where did that switch come from? Because you could very well be an actuary. You could very well be an accountant right now. At some point you switched like what was that moment? Was it a particular moment?
It's when I was in market research because I like the analytical,
Yeah.
and I saw how cool marketing was. And I
Yeah.
moved into product marketing, and it's never been the same since then. So I'm a
Man.
marketing person. I've been a general manager 3 times too. So a P&L general manager. So I'm a marketing person that kind of gets finance, and I have a great relationship with CFOs, which has helped me. And I have some sales experience too. So I can relate to salespeople. I can relate to CFOs. It's helped me
Mm.
to be more Switzerland as a CMO and general manager in my career. And anybody listening, I would greatly encourage folks to get multiple experiences, cross-functional experiences, because it makes you a better leader. Makes you understand what the other side's doing.
Oh, 100%. I definitely, selling tuxedos back in the day, you have a greater respect for all the no's you get in sales,
Yeah.
and the challenges that you face. But I gotta imagine that having a master's in finance earned you a lot of street cred with those CFOs, who also you probably have the same amount of financial training or background, at least in school. And I could see that being a recipe for you speaking their language. Does every marketing leader need to go get a master's in finance, or is it just know enough to be
No.
dangerous?
And I've taught some courses at a university here in
Yeah.
Boston to marketing folks, to global marketing folks. And you don't need to get a degree in finance, but you need to learn some of the concepts and language. It's funny, whenever I taught that course, everybody had the same fear. Will there be any math? I said, only the algebra you learn in high school and not much of it. And I still had to spoon feed them through it because they thought marketing was all, creative and nothing analytical or something like that. But they got through it.
Well, I'll take algebra, but when you start talking calculus, that's when things get wonky.
I agree.
Space under curves. Come on now.
It would be for me. I don't know calculus either.
Oh my goodness, man.
My older daughter does, but I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the who, not how comes into play for me. Okay, so know enough to be dangerous, be able to relate and have the relationships. But what a cool background to be able to speak to people on the radio across the world. And no more towers though, huh? No more giant.
No, I'm storing it at a friend's, but I think, the tower days are over because I had this thing, it was 100 feet. It was a self motorized collapsing tower, and you needed to have a base that was 8 by 8 by 8 with rebar and, concrete, and it was too much of a pain. And my life.
That's a
gets there now.
tower.
Yeah.
8 by 8?
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty serious into it. Yeah.
Dang. And it was self-collapsing because I got to imagine at some point the FAA gets concerned about your tower with it.
Yeah, if it's over a certain height, they get
certain
concerned.
height.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't, I didn't go over like 120 feet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, my next question is a bit of a hypothetical question for you.
Okay.
So you see, I may or may not have a time machine up here in New Hampshire. See, I might not. You come visit, right? We'll get some beer. It's in the backyard, covered in a tarp, right? So we use this time machine. It's a particular kind of time machine. And you go back, you get to meet yourself after getting that undergraduate degree in financing and accounting. Haven't even gone to the master's yet. Just
Yeah.
a couple days after that degree over at Drexel. What do you say to yourself there? What kind of conversation? Do you give yourself advice? What do you say? You meet your younger you.
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So, and I've learned that if you know Myers-Briggs at all, I'm an ENTP, ENFP. So with my personality, I like diversity. I like surprises. That's why I like conversations like this. I like, I don't like scheduling my whole life in advance.
Yeah.
I like things to look forward to. And at that point in my career, I figured I would just maybe get a finance job because I was majoring in finance. At that point, when I finished undergrad, I had an offer from GE to join their financial management program in New York.
Oh.
$14,500 salary. This is in 1978, which dates me. But I turned it down, and I Drexel offered me to stay on and get my master's for free and be a teaching assistant. So I did that. And then when I graduated 2 years later, I never thought I'd move back to Rochester in a million years, but I had interviews with Xerox, and I thought, well, I get a free trip home. So I went back and I interviewed, got 2 offers, and I decided to go with Xerox, and I was with them all through the 80s, which was my first company. I was 11 years with Xerox, so it was a great grounding for me. But, at that point in my life, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So at Xerox, I started in customer administration, then corporate audit, then market research, then product marketing, then channel marketing, then sales. And I was hired by a competitor. So you never know what life's going to bring you. And what I would say, especially for younger folks,
This is younger you, right? You get to go
yeah,
say hi. Yeah.
you're going to change jobs a lot of times. The days of, 30 years at a company and getting a golden watch are long, long, long over. And what I also learned when I left Serious Decisions in Forrester in 21 and started my own company, as I'd never been a solopreneur, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And, I learned that I really love running my own business and being a solopreneur and helping people and companies like I have in the past. So life throws you curves. Don't be afraid of them. Embrace them. That's what I would say from what I've learned.
Do you think younger you would listen to you?
Probably not. Possibly.
You really thought about that question too. I appreciate that. You're like,
I don't know if I would have listened or not. Yeah. But that's what's defined me, all these changes and job transformations. I've learned a lot about how you can take innovations from one industry and bring it to another that they've never heard of, but can be really productive. And what I like to do and what I don't like to do. So I don't know if I would have changed much. I think those transitions have made me stronger over time.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And then points of view from different aspects to be able to combine those into one and better relate to other people with theirs. Man, if people want to reach out to you, coaching, just to connect, say hi, learn from you and your content, where do you want them to go? What do you want them to do?
You can go to my website, which is demandrevenue.com. And because my last name is hard to spell, I have an email, which is ag@demandrevenue.com if you want to email me.
Beautiful. And don't be a weirdo when you do that. Say, hey, I heard you on the pod. Hey, I'm in the Connect to Market community. You were fantastic. Love to ask you about XYZ. That way it's not just some random stranger saying hi. You get that spam button hit on you quick. So, man, Alan, thank you so much for coming on here. I feel like this is in its own time warp.
My pleasure.
We were chatting just at the top of the hour. Boom, there it goes.
Yeah.
It's like flash by. And man, I really appreciate you coming on here. I feel like it's been a masterclass for me. So many things, to try to just peer into that experience, marketing leader brain of yours. And there are a lot of takeaways I've got from today to be indispensable and to create remarkable brands and customer experiences. That's our future. So thank you for coming on here.
You're quite welcome. It's my pleasure. Great to see you again, Casey.
Absolutely. You as well. And because you're in Massachusetts, we can use that time machine and get that beer.
We can.
That'll be absolutely fantastic.
You're in New Hampshire, right?
I am. Yeah, right on the border.
Where in New Hampshire?
Nashua.
Oh, that's not far.
Yeah, right down there.
Yeah.
Or up there. Hey, for those listening, if you want to join us on the beer, let me know. Also, if you learned something on this show, and I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back, ran out of space, writing on the sides, all sorts of things. If you learn something, scale creates issues. You got to get aligned to be able to address it, connect to market, go to market, all the different things. Then share this with someone else. 1 person, 2 people, 3, 9,000 is cool too. But even 1 person, who needs to hear this? Is there a fellow marketing leader that's fallen in that tactical trap? Maybe the CEO or they're asking them to build that next website. Do you yourself, or someone that has a churn issue, then get them this episode and have them connect with Alan so they can get a fix to that. With that, Alan, thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Casey. My pleasure. Take care.
All right, everyone. Been a crazy cool, very exciting episode of the Connect to Market Pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.